and not from the enemy without. Thank you. If you notice that when you're fighting, when he's fighting, he's reacting. But when the battle is over out there on the battlefield, the battle still rages, and interrupts his mind. The soldier leaves the battlefield, but the battlefield never leaves the soldier. I would like to read my next poem. It's called I Caught Myself Smiling, and it talks about some of those certain situations in that sense. I caught myself smiling. Now, this poem states that it gives the depiction of a person in the corporate world. I was a programmer for 20 years at AT&T. Program manager, and I was sitting there behind my desk. And this is a reflection of what happened that morning. I caught myself smiling. I came to myself. I was sitting there at the computer staring into oblivion. I was daydreaming. I was reminiscing about our first skirmish at Uncay Pass. The Vietnamese hit us hard. They hit us fast. Yes, Charlie hit us heavy that day. And on my right side was steep mountain range straight up. And on my left side, straight down. There was no place to go to get out of the beating zone. And as I was crawling from the thickets of briars and stickers on the edge of the pass from which I had dove into, I noticed that the American was crippled on the driver's side. The feeder was dead and the gunner of the Quad 50 was bleeding, but still trying to fire the gun alone. And as I dragged myself up by the half-open door of the vehicle, I heard the driver groan. Gaining consciousness, he said, Let's take this gal home. Let's get out of here. The gunner on the back of the truck looked down at me and said, Can you feed? Yes, I shouted weakly. Well, come feed her. Let's take her home. Lying flat on my back beneath that Quad 50, I could see directly up the mountainside. I was completely exposed to the enemy. There was no protection from anything falling down from that mountainside. But I never before, ever felt more protective or more invincible. Shooting nearly straight up in the air, we set that mountainside ablaze as the driver drove us out of danger and toward the compound. The gunner was bleeding, but he mechanically pulled the butterfly triggers. I was sweating, scorched, scraped, and scarred. All four barrels of that Quad 50 were smoking, and they were sizzling like red-hot frying pans. Yes, that's what I found myself thinking about. That was what I was reminiscing about. What a rush, what a great feeling of power. And then I came back to myself, but with a big grin on my face. I was smiling. I was enjoying it. Oh man, what a feeling. Oh man, what a thrill. I caught myself smiling. I shouldn't be enjoying this kind of stuff. I shouldn't be enjoying these kinds of feelings. I shouldn't be enjoying these kinds of experiences. I can't live in this corporate world or any world with these kinds of thoughts living inside my head. I can't. So what do I do? Well, just maybe maybe I should just live inside my thoughts. Thank you. See, oftentimes that's what's happened when we see our veterans. And one of the myths that I want to just talk about right now is that a veteran does not have to be living on a corner, homeless, jobless, begging, out, afflicted with drugs or whatever, to be going through pains and to have problems. They are all around us because I wore a suit and tie every day and dealt with that in the corporate world. But nonetheless, I went through a lot of things. I went through the self-medication phase, the alcohol and the drugs. I went through the phase of depression, crying, and oftentimes today, you carry me, I got a handkerchief in this pocket, handkerchief in this pocket, tissue in this pocket, tissue in this pocket, because I don't know when something might erupt within me. It's getting better, the time's getting longer, but sometimes you never know. Might need to wipe the tears, or might need to sneak off in a corner to blow my nose, to compose myself through prayer and meditation. So let's think about that as we thank God every day for allowing us to wake up in a wonderful country. And let's thank them for their service to this great country. As I said before, they suffer mental and emotional problems, and we know they suffer also physical problems, like some is missing an eye, an arm, or a leg or something. And I wrote this one concerning a person in a wheelchair who's having problems with their limbs. And I called it Rolling Along Alone. Rolling along alone. I've now become a freak. My strong mind is weak. I'm a crippled man that no one can stand, but I keep rolling along alone. My head's full of phobias and fears. I'm offered only liquors and beers. My mind's clouded with smudges and smears. My eyes are strained and loaded with tears because I get no cheers. But I keep rolling along alone. I'm not handsome because I'm in this chair. I'm a little twisted, but I got pretty hair. They don't like my looks, but I know my books. But I'm not really smart because I have a broken heart. I'm not muscular, really, I'm quite puny. And when I talk philosophically, they call me loony. See, I'm just a crippled man that no one can stand. But I keep rolling along. Thank you. Unfortunately, a lot of our veterans, especially those that are in the chairs, they feel that way. And even more unfortunate, we cause them to feel that way because we're not there to lift them up or to help them or to just to say, brother, thank you. Oh. Did you hear what I just said? I said, brother, thank you. But let me reiterate right here, it's something that we also forget. We have many, many female military veterans. And we have many of them that's suffering in so many ways. They have lost limbs and they lost families and they have been treated just disgustingly and many times by us. Let's please don't forget our female military veterans. So I need to backtrack and say, instead of saying, brother, may I help you? My dear soldier, may I help you? So is that, I have any more time?
Yes, you do, sir.
I do? How much?
Sir, 6 minutes easy.
I got 6 minutes easy. All right. Okay. All right, in that case, I can read another poem that kind of tells about what a person may go through. And it's because as a veteran, or as a man, oftentimes as we were growing up, we were taught, men don't cry. You got to be strong. You got to be doing this and you got to do that. Stick your chest out. But in my time of being at the VA so often and going to my group every Monday, I've seen more men cry than I've ever seen before. And I'm not ashamed right now to tell you that I am one of those who have cried my tears. But this one sometimes, especially because of the things that surrounding us, the norm, we try to avoid certain situations. We don't let people know. So this poem is called If People Knew. Sort of gives a small excerpt of a time frame. If people knew. Why, certainly, I do agree. I just can't stand a whimpering man. If he starts to cry, I say goodbye. But on a very, very, very good reason, I may attempt my hand at treason. And if I get bold, and then even bolder, I may allow him to cry upon my shoulder. But he must promise to never tell for fear of living his life in hell. He must never even hint to tell the story that I once stepped out of man's territory. Not even a hint or a tease, or we'll both be dead. And he'll be in the grave is my only dread. Surely there's no need for this life-lending fight if he keeps his head and his mouth shut tight. There's no need for anyone to know. It only happened once, and we were at a show. There were only a few tears, and I quickly wiped them away. I didn't even know they were coming that day. When they appeared that day, I didn't know. I don't understand how this happened to me. It was the strangest thing. It's still a mystery. I was not the least bit sad. As a matter of fact, I was extremely glad. It happened at the circus when we were having fun. We were hugging each other, me and my son. And the tears just started dropping like it was a rainy day. I can't explain it. I don't know what to say, except that it was pleasing. I felt real good inside, which is all the more reason that it's something to hide. Shh, quiet, hush. Whew. I'd die if someone heard me talking about that mush. Why did it happen to me? A pillar of society. Why? Oh, I can just see the headlines now. If people knew that I could cry. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please a round of applause for poet and author Roy Jarman.